Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and the theme of today's show is what I've said a lot on this channel, and that is words mean things, and often there are no coincidences. Now, I'm going to give you a disclaimer here at the beginning of this show. We can call this show the Alice and Bob theory show, but it's just that. It's just a theory. The Alice and Bob theory on itself means nothing, but if you weave in a few other things, it starts to make you wonder. And all I'm saying in this video is that something is making me wonder, and I'm going to tie it all together today. But I'll tell you right up front, there could be absolutely nothing to it, but then again there could. So here we go. But first I'm going to start with this. The Bank of England, well, somebody calls me right when I start a show. The Bank of England, the countdown has started. Can you guess what's on the way? And these digits that they're putting out are directly, that has everything to do with blockchain technology, the zeros and the ones and all that. So they're sending a message here. Okay. Next, I told you I was in that the conference for Link to yesterday, and this slide came across. It said, I said slide from Link to in the global conference, soon to be available for investment on the platform. They had Digital Currency Group, and for those of you that don't know, the Digital Currency Group is at the very top of the stack in digital assets. Digital Currency Group is one of the original investors. It's a venture capital firm, really. One of the original investors in just about any company in blockchain that you can name. So in other words, by investing in Digital Currency Group, you're literally invested. They're one of the first investors in Ripple, Coinbase, you name the company, and it's there. And you can go, I think it's dcg.co if you want to go look at their portfolio. They also have a portfolio of digital assets that they list on the platform as well. Speaking of digital currency group, Barry Silbert runs it. This came across CoinDesk today. Investment firm Digital Currency Group is to put as much as $250 million into shares of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And then there was this, just in. And by the way, CoinDesk is also owned by Digital Currency Group. You see how this works? Just in, and Grayscale is owned by it. Just in, 9 new job postings indicate Grayscale is considering joining the race to win the SEC's first Bitcoin ETF approval. Do you see how this game is played? Now, this is where today's video is going to get really, really, in my opinion, really interesting. We've all heard about Libra. When Facebook came out with the Libra coin, there was an immediate outrage and they had to go to Congress. They later changed their name to Diem, D-I-E-M, and the guy I pointed out to you yesterday, that David Marcus, who runs what was the Libra project and is now the Diem project, David Marcus is the same guy who in 2013, when he was the president of PayPal, when PayPal announced that it was going to create PayPal Galactic Currency, okay, and they were going to create a currency that could even work on Mars, because and Elon Musk, remember, he was one of the founders of PayPal, got his start in payments, right? Remember, as I go through this video, all of these people live in the same place and go to the same parties, you name it. All these guys, all these guys are payment guys. Facebook, PayPal, Ripple, Coinbase, all these names that you hear, Twitter, whatever. They're all out there. And if you think that all these rich guys don't know each other, then I've got an igloo in Georgia that I would like to sell to you still. Okay? So listen up and listen close. Here we go. And I'll tell you right out of the gate, I can't prove it, and maybe it's 1,000% wrong. Could be, but I'm not afraid to tell you what is sending my antenna up. I'm operating, I called it the Alice and Bob theory. We'll get there. But I'm operating on a premise that I've seen a lot of ties from Stellar, XRP, Ripple, and Facebook, and I've seen things, and I'm going to show you some of them today. But you have to wonder if this Diem is going to be built as its own little private ledger off of an XRP ledger or something like it. And I'll just show you this. Here we go. And I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that my antenna's up, okay? First, we start with this. This guy is Steve Bunnell. He is the Chief Legal Officer at Diem Association, Washington, D.C. Chief Legal Officer. Look at his resume. It's pretty solid. Before he ran the Diem Association, or was General Counsel, Chief Legal Officer, whatever you call it, he was at O'Melveny and Myers, LLP. Co-chair, Data Security and Privacy Practice. Before that, he was General Counsel at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Look, if you look at his, he was in he was the U.S. Department of Justice, U.S. Attorney's Office. My point in showing you his resume is two things. The first is that this Diem project is going to go somewhere. These are you can look through the people that are behind it. This thing's in the game. We already know XRP and XLM are in the game. This thing's in the game. And the question I keep asking myself, is this your Facebook? I mean, it's like Brad Garlinghouse's peanut butter manifesto when he was at Yahoo. Are you going to spread yourselves thin, or are you going to do what you do? And then if you're going to go and build a currency, for example, are you going to do what you do, or are you going to use an existing technology that's connected, very connected, or very close to where you are, and all of that, the above? And the other question you need to ask yourself as I show you all this is, if building private ledgers on the XRP ledger is good enough for central banks, which we saw that Ripple's working on, then why would it not be good enough for Facebook and Diem? All right, next, and there are 2.5 billion people on the platform. So we just showed you that the Chief Legal Officer at Diem, he came straight from where? O'Melveny and Myers, LLP. Well, this law firm makes me curious. So I started looking around. Turns out Brad Garlinghouse's best friend, Michael Arrington, who formed Arrington XRP Capital, he was literally the first guy to form a hedge fund around XRP. I always wondered if just by virtue of his being good friends with Brad Garlinghouse, how did he learn about XRP so early? Well, it turns out that Michael also practiced securities law at O'Melveny and Myers, and at the time I guess it was named something else. He was one of the world's 100 most influential people, practiced securities law there, same place. Well, okay, so what? He was at O'Melveny and Myers too, right? Big deal. Look who else was there. This is Brian Brooks, O'Melveny's Brian Brooks, named Vice President, Chairman of One West Bank. Yes, that is the same freaking Brian Brooks who went to Coinbase, right? He goes to Coinbase, but look here, right here. Vice Chairman of One West Bank, where he worked for both now Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and now Comptroller of the Currency Diversify. This is an older article. Same Brian Brooks who went and ran the OCC, okay? He was O'Melveny and Myers as well. Well, look at this. This is the announcement of the Libra, which is now Diem, hiring Steve Bunnell, right? It says, prior to joining Libra Association, Bunnell co-chaired the data privacy and security practice at law firm O'Melveny and Myers. O'Melveny advised Coinbase, Kraken, and 6 other crypto companies on the creation of the Crypto Rating Council last year. So they were involved right there with Brian Brooks, just by pure coincidence, with that whole thing. Well, that's not it. Remember, Brinley Liller, I don't know, Liar, I don't know how you say that name. Sure, she's not a liar. By the way, she's a contributor to the World Economic Forum, but here's what else she was. She was general counsel at Ripple from November 2016 to 2018. Before that, she was at PayPal, senior director legal counsel for the Americas. Okay? And that's the same PayPal whose David Marcus was going to create PayPal Galactic, who then left to go to Facebook and started and is now in charge of Libra, which is called Diem now. Okay? Before that, she just happened to be an attorney at O. Mulvaney and Myers. Yes, a coincidence, I'm sure. But guess what else? This is O. Mulvaney and Myers' website, and you'll never guess who their clients are. One of them is Ripple Labs. Okay? But I'm not done yet. Now this is where we get to the Alice and Bob. And it's purely a theory. It could be total garbage. Maybe everybody talks about Alice and Bob. I just wanted to show you what I remembered. And my recollection combined with all the things I've shown you so far in the video, as well as, if you didn't watch my second video yesterday, it's the one that's got about 50,000 views, I think for a reason, that takes you through PayPal Galactic and all the connections to Ripple. Combine all of those things together, and it gives a little more credence to what I call the Alice and Bob theory. Okay? So, I'm on Diem's website. And the first thing I noticed, I'll go back. This is the overview of the Diem digital asset. I guess they call it Diem. Basics, that was the button I just pushed, by the way, is their protocol overview. The Diem blockchain is operated by a distributed net. While I'm reading this, as well as what I've experienced, as I'm reading and I'm sitting here thinking, well, that sounds just like freaking XRP. Doesn't sound like Bitcoin. Bitcoin does not talk about validator nodes when you're reading about Bitcoin. Does not sound like Ethereum proof of work. There's only one that it sounds like, or maybe two, XLM maybe. The Diem blockchain is operated by a distributed network of validator nodes, also known as validators. The validators collectively follow a consensus protocol that's Ripple talk, right? To agree on the ordering and execution of transactions on the blockchain. So words mean things, and validator nodes and consensus are certainly words that are used in conjunction with the XRP ledger. Then as you go down, this is what caught my attention. Figure 1.0, and I'm going to tell you right up front, maybe Alice and Bob are talked about in all of crypto, but here the Diem project is talking about Alice and Bob. Figure 1.0 represents the change of the state of the Diem blockchain that occurs when a transaction is executed. In this figure, accounts A and B represent Alice's and Bob's accounts on the Diem blockchain. And then it goes on. Alice, Bob, they're using an example using Alice and Bob. It's all about Alice and Bob. Okay? When I saw this, the second I saw this, after I read this, and after I knew other things that I've been talking about, when I saw Alice and Bob, I immediately remembered a guy named Bob Way. Bob Way, which was one of the first 10 employees at Ripple, who showed up and then later disappeared from XRP Twitter and XRP chat and all the different things. He had said this: Alice and Bob is a bit of a person joke that kind of stuck and became important while I was at Ripple. I started using Alice and Bob in my examples back in 2010 when I was posting on Bitcoin Talk, It was, of course, a play of cryptocracy's Alice, Bob, and Eve, and Eavesdropper, and It says a couple of years ago, Ripple hired a new head of design. Down here it says, so of course, after that I made sure that everyone in Ripple used Alice and Bob in their payment examples, and more importantly, the money always flows from Alice to Bob. Turns out, having a consistent discussion convention, it's important in clarity and maintain your own sanity. The convention I enforced at Ripple was payments were always sent to Alice by Alice to Bob. Anyway, this may be nothing more than just an interesting coincidence, folks, and it may just be everybody in crypto uses. He did use it on the Bitcoin talk. Allison Bob. But the point is that it became a whole staple at Ripple, and now just by coincidence, and by the coincidences of all the inner workings of what I just showed you, as well as the video yesterday, there's enough things that just send some flags up for me and make me wonder if these guys know each other, work together. We saw this from Ripple earlier, like last week. Ripple pilots a private ledger for central banks launching CBDCs. And my question again is, if the private ledger created on the Ripple on the XRP ledger is good enough for central banks, why would it not be good enough also for and advantageous to Facebook in their Diem project, because then they're connected right up to these central banks around the world. Everybody works together, works great. That's my question. Finally, I want to show you a couple of videos. I showed this one the other day, but I want you to listen to what he says at the end. He's talking about how all the CBDC, the central banks, have been working on CBDCs behind the scenes all this time in secret, and he wasn't allowed to talk about it. He wasn't allowed to talk about it until what? Listen.
Central bank money. So we at Banco Santander and 15 other financial institutions, Credit Suisse, UBS in Switzerland, KBC, ING, Commerzbank, Santander, Eurozone, Barclays, Lloyds, Pounds, Bank of New York, Mellon, State Street, Nasdaq, Dollars, CIBC, Canadian Dollars, MUFG, Mizuho, SMBC, Japanese Yen. 15 banks have been working on creating central bank digital currency as a consortium for the last 3.5 years. I've been working on this for 3.5 years. Quietly, the central banks had said to us, shh, say nothing. And then our friends at Facebook announced Libra, and all of a sudden, thank you, by the way, because we were allowed to talk about what we've been doing.
My question is twofold. It's almost, well, first, maybe not a question, but it's almost like Libra and Facebook were an actor in the play. My final question is, why is Facebook/Libra sitting in the room with this guy if he's the one that's been working on CBDCs? Next, the final video I want to show you to kind of end this thing out. Watch this. This is the Cure guy. He's in Davos. This guy's one of the central bank figures. I mean, he's all around that. World Economic Forum, the whole thing. I'm going to let you watch this video and notice what it says down here on the screen towards the end.
But it's not, that discussion is live.
Where do you see the biggest advantage to stablecoins?
Well, it's about having a technology that cuts across borders and that can help cut the cost and improve the speed of cross-border payments, which everyone agrees now are too slow and too costly. So I would say the top priority for the global community is not about CBDC. CBDC will come in, so central bank digital currency. It will come in due course in different ways, and we're working on it. But the top urgent priority is to improve cross-border payments, in particular for low-income and developing economies, because that's a matter of financial inclusion.
Right there. We need to make a decision on Libra. So my question is this. If all the world's a stage, is it possible, and I'm not saying it is, but is it possible that Libra is just one actor in the play and that all of these people have been working together all along? Is that a possibility? And that's all I'm asking. Is that a possibility? I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and ask your friends and family, what do they think about the Alice and Bob theory?